Attorney General Merrick Garland testifying in front of the House Judiciary Committee on Capitol Hill Wednesday for the first time since former President Donald Trump and now President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, have both been indicted on federal charges in separate cases. Republicans focused on discrediting Garland's leadership at the Department of Justice, attempting to portray Garland as an attorney general who's created two systems of justice, one for Americans and one for the Biden family.
Americans believe that today in our country, there is unequal application of the law. They believe that because there is. Republicans are committed to making that change.
In his opening statements, Garland fought back, stressing that the DOJ's job is to pursue justice without fear or favor, that the DOJ works for the American people, and that his department applies the law equally to everyone.
And our job is to uphold the rule of law. That means we apply the same laws to everyone. There is not one set of laws for the powerful and another for the powerless, one for the rich and another for the poor, one for Democrats and another for Republicans, or different rules depending upon one's race or ethnicity or religion. Our job is to pursue justice without fear or favor. Our job is not to do what is politically convenient. Our job is not to take orders from the president, from Congress, or from anyone else about who or what to criminally investigate. As the president himself has said, and I reaffirm today, I am not the president's lawyer. I will add, I am not Congress's prosecutor. The Justice Department works for the American people. Our job is to follow the facts and the law, and that is what we do.
During the hearing, Republicans grilled the nation's top law enforcement official on his department's investigations into the president's son, Hunter Biden, for alleged tax and firearms crimes. They pressed Garland on why special counsel David Weiss allowed the statute of limitations to run out on potential charges against Hunter Biden. Garland answered the question the same each time.
Let me get to the fact. Mr. Weiss has been the lead prosecutor on the Hunter Biden case since 2018, correct?
I'm sorry?
Mr. Weiss has been the lead prosecutor on the Hunter Biden case since 2018. Now, here's the question.
He's been the lead prosecutor since he was appointed by President Trump.
Okay. Why? Let me ask you, why has the Justice Department dragged this investigation out for so long? Does it really take years to determine if Hunter Biden lied on a federal form related to purchasing a firearm?
Mr. Weiss was a long-time career prosecutor. President Trump appointed him as the...
You're not answering the question. Is that standard procedure? Should it take that long to make such a simple determination?
I'm answering the question. Give me an opportunity to do so.
Okay.
He was charged with that investigation under the previous administration. He's continued. He knows how to conduct investigations, and I have not intruded or attempted to evaluate that because that was the promise I made to the Senate.
Are you unaware that statutes of limitations have in fact been allowed to expire after there having been tolling agreements in place?
I'm going to say again, determination of where to bring cases and which kinds of cases to bring was left to Mr. Weiss.
It's one thing to have a gun charge in Delaware. That doesn't involve the President of the United States. But Burisma, oh my, that goes right to the White House. We can't have that. And we can slow walk this thing along. We can even extend the statute of limitations, and then we can intentionally let it lapse. And we know this investigation was slow. Here's what everyone said. Shapley said, DOJ slow walked the investigation. Ziegler, slow walking in the approvals of everything. This happened at the Delaware's attorney's office and DOJ tax level. Mr. Sobocinski, the FBI agent, said, I would have liked to see things move faster. Ms. Hawley said the same. Every witness we've talked to said this thing was slow walked, and we know why. They slow walked it long enough to let the statute of limitations run so they wouldn't have to get into Burisma. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Will the gentleman yield?
No, I'm asking Mr. Garland the question.
I think I've tried to make clear that I don't know the specifics of the investigation. Much of what you are describing occurred during the Trump administration, during a Justice Department appointed by President Trump.
No, it didn't. This is 4.5 years, this investigation. We're talking about the last few years. Your statement was just this year, March 1st, to Senator Grassley.
No, I'm sorry. I was trying to respond to your descriptions of what the IRS agents said about certain things.
Statute of limitations is 6 years. That lapsed here in the Biden administration.
On the statute of limitations, we'll say again, that the explanation for why the statute of limitation was lapsed, if it was, has to come from Mr. Weiss.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the political aisle, Democrats defended Garland and asked him about other issues, including a potential government shutdown, abortion, crime, and the border.
If there's a shutdown of the federal government, how will that affect the Department of Justice and affect policing in local communities?
I haven't done a complete calculation on the effects of a shutdown and the difference between which employees are indispensable under the statute and which ones not. It will certainly disrupt all of our normal programs, including our grant programs to state and local law enforcement, and to our ability to conduct our normal efforts with respect to the entire scope of our activities, including helping state and locals fight violent crime.
Thank you.
One Trump-light presidential candidate has said that we should abolish the FBI altogether. Mr. Attorney General, what would be the impact on America of defunding the FBI?
Defunding the FBI would leave the United States naked to the malign influence of the Chinese Communist Party, to the attacks by Iranians on American citizens and attempts to assassinate former officials, to the Russian aggression, to North Korean cyber attacks, to violent crime in the United States, which the FBI helps to fight against, to all kinds of espionage, to domestic violent extremists who have attacked our churches, our synagogues, our mosques, and who have killed individuals out of racial hatred. I cannot imagine the consequences of defunding the FBI, but they would be catastrophic.
Mr. Weiss was appointed by then President Trump. Your decision was to leave the Trump-appointed attorney completely in charge of this, hands off from you. He makes all the calls without interference from the Attorney General. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so,
thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Thank you for your decades of faithful service to our country, to our Constitution, and to the rule of law. Thank you for putting up with this today. The American people are watching. They know what's going on here. This is a gross misuse of your time, your team's time, and our time. It is a shameful circus. It has a goal. The goal is to spew lies and disinformation, ultimately to tear away at the confidence of our independent institutions, in your case today, our very important Department of Justice.
Things really heated up when Republican Representative Matt Gaetz fired multiple questions at Garland, not giving him much of a chance to answer.
So Hunter Biden is selling art to pay for his $15,000 a month rent in Malibu. How can you guarantee that the people buying that art aren't doing so to gain favor with the president?
The job of the Justice Department is to investigate criminal allegations. You have information.
Are you investigating this? I mean, someone who bought Hunter Biden's art ended up with a prestigious appointment to a federal position. Doesn't it look weird that he's become this immediate success in the art world as his dad is president of the United States? Isn't that odd?
I'm not going to comment about any specific.
Not going to comment, not going to investigate. So
then about 40 minutes later, Republican Representative Thomas Massie accused Garland of being in contempt of Congress for not commenting on ongoing investigations, which led Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell to display two computers showcasing Chairman Jordan's refusal to comply with a congressional subpoena regarding his actions on January 6, 2021.
My colleague just said that you should be held in contempt of Congress, and that is quite rich, because the guy who's leaving the hearing room right now, Mr. Jordan, is about 500 days into evading his subpoena. About 500 days. So if we're going to talk about contempt of Congress, let's get real. I mean, are you serious that Jim Jordan, a witness to one of the greatest crimes ever committed in America, a crime where more prosecutions have occurred than any crime committed in America, refuses to help his country, and we're going to get lectured about subpoena compliance and contempt of Congress? Jim Jordan won't even honor a lawful subpoena? Are you kidding me?
Overall, the hearing seemed like it was two hearings, one for Republicans to dig in and ask questions about Hunter Biden investigations, and one for Democrats to praise Garland and the work being done by the DOJ. In the end, Nadler gave Garland the chance to clear up any confusions or to answer any questions in greater detail. He chose to use that time to reaffirm the DOJ's commitment to America.
And I just, again, I want to assure the American public and this committee that the Justice Department follows the rule of law, it enforces the law equally without regard to persons and without regard to parties, and that we do the best we can to follow the facts and the law.
Thanks for watching. We know that Americans' trust in media is near an all-time low. That's why Straight Arrow News is on a mission to bring you unbiased, fact-based reporting. It's the way news should be. Join us at straightarrownews.com.